Okay, everyone lean in. You're all looking great. A little bit more on the sides there. And smile. Wow, wonderful. Good pick. Now, let's do a goofy one. Everyone make funny faces. I think that's good here. And yeah, just cheese it up a little bit. Kind of like do like just like a little sort of deal, okay? Or a little more than that. Yeah, good. All right, let's get started. We have a postcard here from Stacy. Says, "Hi again. I'm on vacation and thought you'd appreciate a postcard. I actually grew up on this island, and I love sharing it with people. Happy New Year." So I got this a few months ago. If you can't tell from what was written there, thank you, Stacy. It looks like she's on Kauai, Waimea Canyon, Grand Canyon of the Pacific, it says. Thank you very much. It's time to draw in the sketchbook. And I think today I'm going to combine the powers of pen and pencil. Mostly just with pen at the beginning and then maybe scribble in the background a little bit with the pencil, but we'll see. Not going to try to overthink it too much, even though maybe I should. No, I shouldn't. Well, maybe I should, but I don't think I should. It's fine, I think. Okay, I'm about to make a video game analogy, and as weird as it seems to me, I know there are some of you that don't play video games and are very familiar with them. So there's this genre of video games called RPGs, role-playing games. The term role-playing puts a lot of different words into people's heads, but basically in these games, you are a character, or you have a character, and you usually go out into the world and interact with the world, and usually there's some kind of quest or end goal, and you interact with other things in the world, people, objects, creatures. You level up, you get skills, stuff like that. I hope that kind of explains it. But basically, what I'm thinking of here is a pretty common feature in these role-playing games, these RPGs, called perks. All right, and perks are usually things you get to select either when you're creating your character or when you're leveling up, and they're like you can usually select from a wide variety of them, and they're little things that customize and personalize your character and give your character some kind of strengths in small areas, right? So some common perks might be the ability to pick locks more efficiently and quickly, or the ability to walk more quietly, or the ability, or when you shoot someone in the head, their whole body explodes. Or maybe when you craft something, it crafts two of it instead of one, right? So a lot of random little perks like this. Of course, there's like about 1 billion video games, and each video game has 1 billion perks. So anything you can think of, there's probably a perk for it. But something that's not quite as common is the opposite of a perk. And that's really what I'm thinking about here. There are some video games that do have the opposite of perks. Some games like Project Zomboid, RimWorld, right? These kind of balance out the perks. But I think these, I don't know what these are called, anti-perks or like debuffs. Basically, these, I don't think perks are as realistic. They don't exist in real life as much, but I think these, I'll call them anti-perks, but these actually do kind of exist in real life, because I feel like when it comes, at least when it comes to like our physical bodies, all of us kind of have like one or two weird little things that's just kind of wrong with us, but it's just been wrong with us for so long that we're kind of used to it and we learn to get along with it. Because I feel like so many times I've had this conversation where one person is like, oh yeah, my knee does this weird thing where it pops and it's painful, and for years now my knee's been giving me problems. And then the next person will be like, oh yeah, well, I have like this weird neck thing. And then the next person will be like, yeah, well, my belly button. And then it seems like everyone has this like one main thing. And then the leveling up of real life is kind of like just getting older. Maybe each birthday, every 5 or 10 years, probably as you get older, it becomes more frequent that you get a new anti-perk and you start to gradually accumulate these things. Like, for example, my anti-perks are I have very sensitive skin. I get itchy very easily. I have dermatographia, which means I can run my finger across my fingernail across my skin very gently, and then after like 10 or 15 seconds, a red line will appear. So I have very sensitive skin. That's one. That's a pretty mild one because at worst I just get itchy and end up itching myself. I have very, I have a shoulder thing. So this is a pretty common one. I'm like, oh yeah, my shoulders, they pop out of joint. They become dislocated, and this will set someone else off being like, oh yeah, my ankle, it keeps twisting. I've sprained my ankle like 15 times in the past year, right? So that's their anti-perk. And then I'll be like, oh yeah, and I get chronic migraines, right? So that I've got like 3. And I feel like it's about time for me to get a 4th one. And it does seem like there are maybe people out there without any, specifically the younger people who are maybe like 0 to 10 to 15 years old, maybe even 20-year-olds, even though I remember in school, we still had weird things, but it was mostly, I remember sitting around maybe at lunch or waiting for the bell to ring for school to start. We still had these weird things about us, but they weren't really positive or negative. We were just like showing off weird things that our body could do. Like one kid could like bend his fingers all the way back and touch his arm. And when some other person could do some weird thing with his eyeballs, right? Make his eyes shake really fast back and forth. That looks creepy, right? So I feel like these were like premature anti-perks waiting to be born into more fully fledged and developed things that would, that guy who could bend his hand all the way back, maybe he's just flexible. Maybe that was about to become something painful in 10 years. Who knows? It's just sad that there isn't like the equivalent of perks. Maybe that's why video games are so satisfying sometimes, because you get that immediate satisfaction of being, that little, you're just like better at something. And you get to click on it and you get it right away. In real life, if you get a perk, it's because you've practiced it for years, and it gradually happens. It never happens overnight. You can't just grind it out in one afternoon, right? I guess we can just be thankful that the anti-perks we do have aren't too debilitating. I feel like there's so many different things. People with tender teeth, weird lung things, stomach issues, leg things, foot things, hair issues, finger joints. There's a lot of joint related things, a lot of heart, pretty much for every organ system, and eyes, face, nose. People have skin issues. And I think why these conversations stick into my head so much is because when someone is like going on and like into detail, like, oh, I've had this weird thing with my nose and I had all these surgeries and this and that. I'm like, wow, I like my nose. Well, I actually have had surgery in my nose, but just for the sake of the story, I'm like, wow, I can't relate at all. Like my nose works terrific. The air goes in, it goes out. I smell things, but this person, their life has been defined by all these nose problems, and the only way I can relate is to think that how my life has been kind of defined by my weird, like shoulder problems. Like I have to be careful not to play volleyball anymore because I know there's a pretty good chance I might dislocate my shoulders by hitting volleyball over my head. It's just weird how we're all the same in the ways that we're different. Wait, no, we're all different in the ways that we're all the same in the ways that we're different. There might be, I am interested to think that there might be someone out there who, like a fully grown adult, I'm not talking about kids here, like I said, it's easy to understand there might be kids out there who Nothing, their body isn't falling apart at all yet. But I wonder if there are adults out there where they have no issues. They can just sit down at night and think, wow, my body's perfect. Everything's working fine. I'm not worried about anything. But I don't believe that even, because if they were that confident in their body, then they wouldn't do any preventative things like take vitamins, right? Or brush their teeth. Because I feel like, isn't worrying about your body the reason why people brush their teeth? Or it could be, I guess, for breath freshness issues. Because I remember I wasn't worried about my teeth for a long time until the first time I went to the dentist. Not the first time, but when I went to the dentist and I had cavities for the first time. I didn't have cavities for like 24 years until I suddenly had 9 cavities. And then suddenly teeth were a worrisome thing for me and they freaked me out. Like, I don't know, I guess these things, like I said, they kind of accumulate and they never go away. Like, teeth are never going to not be a worrisome thing stuck in the back of my head freaking me out anymore. Yeah, so I wonder what my next thing is going to be to add on to my list of anti-perks. Let me know what you guys have going on. Even if your body is giving you some problems, you're beautiful, your body's great, it's gotten you this far, and it's going to get you further, okay? I believe in you, you look great, and you're beautiful, and I love you, and I'm sending you all hugs, all right? So, goodbye. Have a good one. Unless hugs are painful or something for you, so I won't. Air hug. All right, goodbye.